just a little bit. This is like such a up here, right? We're not down in the nitty gritty. We're just saying, hey, here's some terminologies, and this is how we get on the same page having this conversation. What feelings does this conversation evoke? I think you started us off. I really hope male and female don't go away. That's important. What other feelings come up for us? Because this is as much academic as it is emotional. You cannot separate head and heart as you talk about sex and sexuality. Confusion. Yes, please say more. It does. And we're in a time that invites us to say, see the red dress and the person in it who may be male or who may not be male, who may be female and may not be female, and so we're just invited to see that person there in that red dress that they're choosing to have on in this moment, because the role of dresses has drastically shifted. Kings and men of import wore dresses at one point, and not so much now. I mean, those things. Makeup changed, right? Men wore makeup. Egyptian kings wore makeup, and French parliamentarians wore tons of makeup. I mean, tons. How did their skin survive under that stuff that they caked on like that, right? But now, makeup is not common. Warriors wore makeup. Makeup is not common for men now. Kind of, sort of, depending where and who. But it typically tends to be in the female part of the store, right? When we talk makeup. So even the usage of makeup has changed. And we're just in one of those times where so much is shifting so fast. And I just want to acknowledge that it's just happening at a lightning pace. And that's hard. Coming back to you. Yeah. It's a lot of labels, isn't it? And it's because people are fighting to be seen who've not been seen for a very long time. And so now, so now everybody's like, you gonna see me today. I will not be ignored. Not another day I won't. So these new labels are emerging almost as fast as you can learn them. And I'm finding out that there are realities that are just so far out of the orbit of my own reality. Like, whoa, that's a life there that you're living over there. Who knew? All right, good on you. It's hard. It's a lot. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. That's so beautiful. Yes. Yes. That's beautiful. Yeah. Right. Give myself patience. Thank you. That's so important that we all give ourselves a lot of patience and a lot of grace, sir. It's you and I, Burn. We're excited.
Where a lot of these
I'm out of here.
definitions, and I'm like, there's something to be proud of here. There's something to be excited about here. There's something about moving forward and embracing what's going on and feeling that and accepting not only everybody around me for who they are, but accepting myself, who I am. I'm excited.
That's so awesome. Like, that rocks. Yeah, I'm excited too now. I'm really excited about the small dog and the big car, but we'll talk about that later. Like, that's that's another thing. I am. I'm with you. And there was a time where that was like, what? Right? It was so radical. They didn't make them, absolutely. Because our idea of boy and our idea of girl was so ridiculous. And before that, before the early 1900s, can you believe that boys wore pink regularly? This whole idea of boy in blue and girl in pink was a marketing ploy by the clothing industry. Right? Like, when you go back and study the history of what is heteronormativity in North American context, one of the first things you learn is that this idea of pink and blue was a marketing ploy by a clothing industry, clothing execs, to sell their garments, to craft out a market share. Much of our idea of sex and sexuality is driven by capitalism. That's another whole.
A lot of babies all over.
Oh, you make the mistake all the time. Yeah.
It helps with identification.
And we want to identify them so that we can socialize them properly. Yeah.
I think we have a real opportunity just to degeneralize our communication. Can't tell you how many times I get called sir again because on the back of me, I look like a guy, and I'm not, and I'm definitely not a guy. But I think we have a real opportunity to say, thank you very much instead of thank you very much, sir. Or, hey man, can I get the door for you? Or I think we just have an opportunity.
And depending on your region within the country, and that's going to be much more difficult for some people than it is for other people. If you're Southern, if you have Southern heritage and Southern roots, the idea of ma'am and sir is not just polite, right? It's core to being civil. And military also, it's core to your identity. So this opportunity that we have for some people will be just an easy door to walk through, and for other people it's going to be more challenging to walk through, but we'll rise to the occasion. But let's not pretend that it's not challenging for some people. Let's give each other the grace to say that one's going to be hard for me, right? That's going to be difficult for me. And ma'am and sir, those are ones that are going to be difficult for me, because being reared in the home I was reared in, you could lose your teeth for not attaching that, right? And quickly, because it was an issue of manners. And if you had good manners, you said yes ma'am and yes sir. And if you were an ill-mannered human being, you left the handle off. And you didn't even call adults by their first name. I did not know most adults' first name. They were Mr. So-and-so and Ms. So-and-so and Mrs. So-and-so. And that's as far as you needed to know. That they had a first name was really none of your business, because you were never to use it.
When I was in high school, and Barb's mom was one of our youth group leaders, and it was always Mrs. Westcott. She goes, "That's my mother-in-law. Call me Susan." And so around my mother it was Mrs. Westcott. But then I thought it was really cool when we get away from it. Hey, Susan. She's the first adult that I like sat there and called my first name, because it was not allowed.
Isn't that something? And this is 2018, and the reality is we're having that same discussion in the university. What do students call professors in 2018? Do you call them Dr. So-and-so, Professor so-and-so, Jim, Jane? But what what is appropriate for the teacher-student relationship and that dynamic, even at the university level. In 2018, we're still having that discussion. No, I don't. I don't think it should be that one. That we reserve for something else. That's another talk. I think it should be Dr. So-and-so if the person is a doctor. If they're not, I think it should be Professor so-and-so. And let me tell you why. It reminds both the student and the professor of their role in the context of this relationship. Otherwise, those relationships are in dangery. Dangery. Not danger, dangery. I make up words when it's real serious. They're in dangery of losing the shape and the arc of what's supposed to be transactional. And it reminds people of the power dynamic in the room. That when I say something, I have to remember this person is responding to someone with the power to change their grade. So how I handle you must be with professionalism, courtesy, because I understand the role I'm playing in this moment, and we're not just, Ed and Sue, right? Because we are not doing the same function in this room. So for me, I think professional titles are very useful in the health of that relationship. And then when you graduate and become a colleague, then we change that, right? We switch because now the relationship is something else. Yeah. Yes. 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 Yes, Lord. And I really do appreciate my white male colleagues who choose to go by first name. I appreciate it. I appreciate them saying, in this moment, I recognize that I came in the room with all the power anyway. So in order to be in solidarity with my students, I want to divest myself of the trappings of that authority, even though I know I'm still in that role. I appreciate that. I also appreciate my black female colleagues who come in and say, you will never address me as anything other than Dr. So-and-so. Because in this moment, I need to remind you of my credentialing, because they are continuously challenged in ways that a white male professor is never challenged. Like I've heard black women professors be asked, what one was told, you don't have the right to give me this grade. Absolutely. Another one was asked, why did you pick these books and who told you you could? And this isn't all, I'm not talking about Seattle University, I'm talking about across the nation. These are the types, so I get why they are sticklers on one hand, and why some of my other colleagues are like, I need to not be that in this moment. So there's a range, but my personal feeling is I think everybody should be over here.
Wouldn't it be more supportive of all the doctors and professors if they all said this is what your comments?
So I have in the marriage and family couples counseling track at Seattle University School of Theology and Ministry, the director of the program is a white female, and the assistant director of the program is a white female, and they have made a rule for their program that all professors will be called Dr. So-and-so, in solidarity with minoritized communities, but also because therapists who are in training are practicing under the license of that particular doctor. So you need to remember every time you're in the room that you're working under my license. If you mess up, it's my license. It's not yours. So they have made that decision that for their program, you will address all your professors by Dr. whatever. And I get it, and I thumbs up it. Yeah. I'd like them to make that the rule for everybody. I think it would help everybody. It is that same thing. And I will tell you that when I was a student, a doctoral student, I intentionally went in as Edward. I never allowed any of my classmates or professors to address me as Bishop. And I did that because I understand ecumenicalism and I understand ecclesial hierarchy. And sometimes you don't need to be the important person in the room. You just need to be a student. And so I was Edward always. Because I came here to be a student, and I needed to stay in that frame of mind. So it was important to, sometimes it's just good to hear your name. Good Lord. You know, you get to a certain age, it's like, oh, that's my name. Yes, I can respond to that. Great. And that's what it was for me. It was like a name, not a title. I didn't come here as a title. I didn't come here as an office. I didn't come here as a job. I came here as a person wanting to learn, and that was it. And that was very important to me. Sexuality. Is there any part that we didn't cover that someone came with a question that says, you know, I'm just really curious about this, and you didn't say anything about it, but let's talk about erectile dysfunction. I mean, you know, whatever it is. No curiosities? You have that look on your face again. Okay. You get me every time with that look. I look over like, No curiosities? Yes. Polygamy. Yes. Isn't that something? Go to bed. I mean, if you can pull it off, hey. Yes. You're curious about polygamy. No, not at all. I think it's a different relationship construct. When I say different, it's an option. Howbeit ever not a legal option in the United States. It is an option. And I think people are living it and not naming it. And people have multiple configurations of relationships that they are uncomfortable naming, because the moment I name it, it becomes judged. And some things are just our reality that we choose not to name because we choose not to deal with the judgment that comes along with the name. But I think people are living. But there is a growing movement here in the United States of polyamorous, which is one that I did not talk about. And polyamorous is just the person who's open to falling in love where love is, and many times open to falling in love multiply. And that's another way of being sexual in the world, which is different than bisexual. A bisexual person can be in a relationship with a man or a woman and still be bisexual. I'm in relationship with you and I'm attracted to you, just like a heterosexual person is in relationship with this person and attracted to 52 people, but I'm still, right? A polyamorous person feels the need to have multiple sources of romantic love simultaneously. Yes. Many of us are polyamorous. We don't call it that. You're all looking at me like, please don't point me out. It's me. I'm the polyamorous one in the room, but I don't want anybody to know. Don't worry, we won't out anyone. We're filming. Right. Okay. Thank you so much for this conversation. Next month, the conversation will bring in some other voices because we'll hear about people's experiences and journeys. And I think that's more than the technical talk. People sharing their experience and their journey is deeply impactful. So I hope you'll all come back out for that conversation, and they'll illuminate things in ways that my limited understanding and resource cannot. But thank you so much for being here. And bring a friend next month.
Again, this is something that Dr. Donalson does all the time. We would like to do a love offering. Or Burney will get and Burney will pray us out.
Well, there, you got it. All right, so if we just welcome in everything that's been said in here today or this evening, and take that breath, let it out, and know that all is good. Take another breath and let it out, and feel the relaxation that happens when that breath comes out. And one more time. Feel that love that surrounds us right here and right now, knowing that everything is perfect just the way it is, and that this information that is penetrated or expressed through and in and around us from the information from Reverend Bishop Donalson is a great thing, is a wonderful thing. No matter how it has expressed itself in or around or through you, that feeling is love. That understanding is love. That body of what we just heard is all love. There can be no wrong. There can be no less than. We are full of it, of that information, and that digestive progress situation that happens right here and right now is what is so great about these talks. Knowing that it's all beautiful just the way it is. I bless each and every one of us that were here. I bless the people that are watch this, knowing that we're all safe going home. And together we say, and so it is. Amen.